Good morning, everybody, and thanks for being here. Can you hear okay? Yeah? Okay, good. I'm going to be juggling a lot of stuff here, so it's going to be slightly awkward. My name is Ira Deutchman. I'm the president and the co-founder of Upper West Side Cinema Center. We are a 501c3 not-for-profit. For nearly 2 decades, this historic theater has stood as a silent reminder of what once was. Its Art Deco marquee, a faded symbol of cultural vibrancy that illuminated Broadway at 99th Street starting in 1933. As storefronts around it emptied and community spaces diminished, the Upper West Side lost not only a theater, but a gathering place where stories were shared, perspectives broadened, and neighbors connected through the universal language of film. In a world increasingly defined by digital isolation and societal fragmentation, the continued vacancy of this landmark space represented something larger, the gradual erosion of shared experiences that bind us together as a diverse community. While Lower Manhattan and Brooklyn saw independent cinemas flourish, Upper Manhattan became a cultural desert for film lovers, with no independent theaters north of Lincoln Center. Upper West Side Cinema Center emerged as a response to this void, not just to reclaim a building, but to revitalize a neighborhood and connect a community. We believe that cinema is more than just entertainment. It's a portal to understanding different lives, cultures, and perspectives. As legendary film critic Roger Ebert noted, movies are empathy machines, capable of transporting us into the lives and experiences of others. As polarization threatens the fabric of our society, Upper West Side Cinema Center stands for the transformative power of shared storytelling, creating spaces where diverse audiences can collectively experience narratives that challenge, inspire, and illuminate our shared humanity. Our vision extends beyond film screenings to creating a cultural hub where dialogue flourishes, education thrives, community bonds strengthen. So I'm extremely pleased and proud on behalf of the board of Upper West Side Cinema Center to announce that we've completed the purchase of the building. But it's kind of a misnomer to say that the building is ours, because really, the building is yours. So this purchase is a triumph that was made possible by the extraordinary generosity of our neighbors, of film enthusiasts, and civic leaders. And now we embark on the next chapter of our story, transforming this architectural gem into a vibrant 5-screen cinema arts and education center. Okay, so there's a lot of people I have to thank, but I'm going to try to keep this brief. I mean, first let me acknowledge our co-founder, Adeline Monzier, who's standing right there. Around 8 years ago or so, is that about right? Yep. Adeline asked me to come look at some spaces up in Harlem because she had this idea that she wanted to bring art cinema to that community. We looked at those spaces and it didn't quite pan out. And then as time passed and the Lincoln Plaza went out of business, I suddenly realized that the entire Upper West Side was a cinema desert. And I started looking around at real estate. We didn't know that this theater was eventually going to become available. And during all that time when it was sort of rolling around in my head, I stayed in touch with Adeline, and the idea was to keep seducing her to make sure that she was going to be part of this when it actually happened. And thank goodness she actually jumped into it with both feet and has been an incredible asset. I want to give a really special shout out to our lawyer. How often do you hear people say that? Stephen Cohn, who can't be with us today. He's out of the country. Lawyers have a reputation for actually creating obstacles. But Stephen turned out to be my enabler. During a long, incredibly difficult process, he kept encouraging me to take the leap. And I couldn't have done it without him. So I hope somebody's taping this and sending it to Stephen. I want to give a quick shout out to our board member, Beth Krieger, who also happens to be my wife. Other than our children, Beth and I have never actually worked on a project together. But her community activism and communication skills made a huge difference in our efforts. And big thanks to our other board members, David Huntington, Sally Klingenstein-Martell, Peter Koffler, and Tim Blake Nelson. A thank you to our architects at Voith and McTavish for joining the team early on, even before we had a penny in the bank. And our advisory group, there are too many to name, but these are the celebrities and the film business folks who brought us expertise and credibility in the early stages of the project. You can clap for them. Special thanks to the new friends of Metro, especially Liza, Gina, and Lauren, for their early endorsement and for their continued support. And enormous thanks to our major foundation donors, Kate Capshaw and Steven Spielberg's Hearthland Foundation, the Klingenstein-Martell Foundation, and the Brant Jackson Foundation. Jumping in the way that they did before we had a single asset to show was incredibly brave, and for us, it was really validating. A special thank you, this is to all of you, to the community who donated to the cause, both donating money as well as volunteering your time and your skills. Over 400 people from this neighborhood gave money to the effort, which is really amazing. And finally, I want to thank our three of our elected officials who came to our rescue when time was running out. The state of New York granted us a total of $4 million toward the purchase of this building. $3.5 million came from Governor Kathy Hochul at the request of Assemblyman Micah Lasher. And an additional $500,000 came from the state Senate, secured by Senator Brad Hoylman-Sigal. In stark contrast to what's going on in Washington, these three elected officials have renewed my faith that government can actually be a positive force in our lives. So we owe them a great debt of gratitude. So having said all that, it's my pleasure to introduce, representing Governor Kathy Hochul, Robert Rodriguez, the acting president and chief executive officer of the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. Robert?
Thank you, Ira. Good morning. I am delighted to be here representing Governor Kathy Hochul at this amazing milestone for the Upper West Side. I have the pleasure of leading the Dormitory Authority. I like to say DASNY because when you come to places like this, they're like, what does this have to do with dorms? But we are the lead financier and builder for social infrastructure in the state of New York and administer the grants that come to our communities and help create vibrancy in neighborhoods all across the state. So when we talk about here, cultural institutions like the Metro Theater, this is what brings community together. Arts. Its ability to transform, to lead, and to educate. What we're building here is the vision that has come from this community to create educational facilities, a place for independent film, and of course, a cafe. Every community always needs good cafes. But at DASNY, we're proud of this contribution that we're able to make to the Upper West Side community. We know what it will bring, but what it also embodies is that partnership that happens between a community and the private sector. What we have here is folks that have come together in philanthropy, community members like you, and your leaders in the legislature to deliver your dollars, your hard-earned tax dollars, to fund and build something amazing in your community. We are proud to be vehicles and vessels for making that happen, for helping this community to achieve its potential. Remember, the Upper West Side is one of those marquee communities, arguably in the city of New York and certainly the entire world. This will help us to continue to do that. This will help us to continue to be on the avant-garde of film in New York City, and to continue to create amazing destinations here in the city and in the state. We're proud for the role that we play, and we're proud to continue to support the Upper West Side. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce two of the true heroes of this story who figured out how this project might be eligible for state funding and guided us all the way through the process. Senator Hoylman-Sigal and Assemblymember Lasher. Here's Senator Hoylman-Sigal.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Upper West Side. Have you had a happier morning in a long time? I don't know. It's pretty exciting. I'm State Senator Brad Hoylman-Sigal, very proud to represent you from Christopher Street, home of the historic Stonewall Inn, birthplace of the LGBTQ human rights movement, all the way up to West 103rd, or as we like to say, from the gay bars to Zay bars. And I gotta find something that rhymes with Metro Theater, because this is such an iconic institution on the Upper West Side. Shuttered for 20 years, so many of us walking back and forth, seeing its near-death and near-life experiences over the years. But now we have a champion and a savior. Thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you, Assemblymember Lasher. Thank you, Councilmember Abreu, Councilmember Brewer. And fighting the good fight in Washington, D.C., Congressmember Jerry Nadler. How many of us were at the Hands Off March yesterday? And one of the chants I heard time and time again was hands off arts and culture. Hands off arts and culture. Because I don't want to be too high-minded right here, but we have to do everything in our power as New Yorkers to fight back. And one way we can do that, one way the state of New York can do that, as our dormitory CEO said, is to ensure that arts and culture is fully funded. Ensure that future generations of New Yorkers have the opportunity to participate in the arts. 500,000 jobs, by the way, in New York State at the moment. But also that there is room for free expression, that there's room for the First Amendment, that there's room to make certain that our neighborhood is enriched culturally. So I'm so proud to be here as a state senator, putting in $500,000 of seed money, your tax dollars at work. And you often hear about sequels that aren't quite as good as the original. There's a few of those, none by Steven Spielberg, I'll add. But I think this is Godfather 2. This is that good. So, as we fight to make certain that our rights are protected, joining my colleagues, I'm just so proud to be here today. And congratulations, Ira, and your entire team. Can't wait to see the first film on the screen here. Thank you very much. And I have the distinct honor of introducing the new Assembly member who's done more in like 6 months than most representatives have done in 6 years. Assembly member, 3 months, oh. All right. Our state Assembly member, Micah C. Lasher.
I'm overcome. I'm Micah Lasher. I'm incredibly proud to represent this community, my community in the State Assembly. For those of you who don't know, me, I spent a big chunk of my childhood on 103rd and West End Avenue, coming to this movie theater. And when Beth and Ira, and of course, like so many of you, just have watched it for the last 20 years sit here like a gash on Broadway. And so many, as Senator Hoylman-Sigal said, false starts and false hopes about its resuscitation. And when Beth and Ira reached out to me last April, I was in the middle of a campaign. But this was so exciting and also crazy. And I have to just express my profound gratitude to Ira Deutchman. Because he is a dreamer and he is a doer. And he had an idea together with Adeline and Beth and the crew and supported by new friends of Metro and Liza and Dan and this whole community. And he had a vision to do something that, I think I kind of had given up on maybe a little bit. And when I first heard about it, I thought to myself, that's great, that's great. And they just persisted and fought like hell for this. And when we talked in the late fall, early winter, and you negotiated the option to buy, and I thought to myself, my God, they're getting this done. And I thought to myself, if there was some opportunity to play a role in helping get it over the line, that's what, that there was sort of a karmic element that's maybe why I was a part of why I had run. And so I just couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of this and to see this happen. I would just also extend my gratitude to the extraordinary group of elected officials who are my senior partners in government. Congressman Jerry Nadler, a mentor of mine, a national leader. Senator Hoylman-Sigal, a dear friend, and who was the first elected official to say, we're going to go get money for this thing. We don't own it yet, but we're going to get money for it. To Shaun Abreu and Gale Brewer, who are extraordinary public servants representing us. And, I wanted to say a quick word about Robert Rodriguez. $4 million doesn't just show up in a bank account. It takes an extraordinary amount of work. His entire team at DASNY and some extraordinary team members. We've got Jordan here from the governor's office. Extraordinary people in the governor's office, James Katz, Tom Conoscenti, and a whole team. There was a lot of people who helped make this happen today, and most of all to the community, because this is what makes this place special. The stories we hear about Broadway and about stores and special places in our neighborhoods and in our hearts are too often stories of loss. It is rare these days, it feels like, that a month goes by where we don't feel the loss of an institution or a place that occupies a part of our heart. And what an extraordinary thing to be able to say that we are reclaiming a part of our heart and a part of our community. And that's what we're doing today. Thank you so much.
See why I'm getting faith in government again? All right. I'd like to now introduce somebody who fights for all New Yorkers on a daily basis in Washington, and boy does he have his work cut out for him right now. Congressman Jerry Nadler.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with all of you It's a pleasure to be with you, with all of you this morning as we celebrate the purchase of the beloved Metro Theater and mark the beginning of its renovation process. As funding for arts and culture is under attack across the country, I am heartened that the Upper West Side is coming together to revitalize a space in which people can experience cinema amid iconic Art Deco architecture. Under the stewardship of the Upper West Side Cinema Center, the Metro Theater will be transformed from an abandoned blight on our neighborhood over the past 20 years into a welcoming haven for Upper West Siders looking to expand their worldviews, be entertained, and enjoy a moment of escape through a theatrical experience. This is doubly important as we see the closure of other theaters across the Upper West Side, like Lincoln Plaza Cinema, that provided cinematic offerings beyond big-budget blockbusters. Residents have been yearning for someone to rescue and save the Metro Theater. Lo and behold, this day has arrived. I want to acknowledge the hard work of Ira Deutchman, President and co-founder of the Upper West Side Cinema Center, and his team, the generous funding from our state elected officials, Governor Hochul, Assemblyman Lasher, and State Senator Hoylman, and of course, thank you to the individual donors who made this all possible. I eagerly await the opportunity to take in a movie here once the Metro Theater's doors are once again opened to the public. And let me put in a little word of context. This is a great cultural event. At a time when art and culture and freedom of expression are under attack across our country. A time when they are removing books from library shelves because they deal with the wrong subjects, because they mention LGBTQ people, or because they celebrate the achievements of various groups, or because they point out that the history of the United States is not only a history of triumph, but is a history of racism, of slavery, of replacement, of genocide of Native Americans. Everything unpleasant is being censored. Our colleges are under attack, our universities are under attack. The White House is trying to get its way with law firms, with all our institutions. And we have to fight back for freedom of expression. We have to fight back to make sure that this country doesn't go down the road to fascism, which the White House wants it to go, and some other people want it to go down. And we're fighting back. We saw a lot of that fight back yesterday. Even cultural events like this are part of fighting back. And and we saw the beginnings of the turnaround last Tuesday, and we saw a lot of it yesterday. And I am hopeful, and I would even say confident, that in a little less than 4 years, we'll change this all. All of this will be changed. But there will be permanent damage. Maybe in the United States, certainly abroad. Who's going to ever trust us again? If every 4 years the complete policy of the United States might change. But we must persevere. You must go on. We must celebrate achievements like this. And we must go forth in the faith that we can save this country's democracy as we have for 200 years. Thank you.
Next up, the City Council representative for this district, who is already working with us to get additional funding for the build-out of the Metro, Shaun Abreu.
Well, well, well. Are you happy or what? Wow. It is an amazing day for the Upper West Side. If I had to rank the number of calls I've gotten from the Upper West Side over the last 3 years, perhaps the first one would be, what the hell are you doing about the scaffolding on 104th Street? But the second one would be, when are we going to bring back the Metro Theater? I have to say, we resolved the second one and we're working on the first one. After far too many years of vacancy, the Metro Theater finally has a new chapter, and it's one that we are writing together. The theater, once an empty landmark, will now become a vibrant home for film, art, and community. I want to celebrate the incredible neighbors who made this happen, especially Ira and Beth, and the new friends of the Metro Theater, Liza, Keith, among many of you all. Your persistence, like Micah said, your persistence, vision, and love for this community brought us to this moment. You refused to let this place fade away, and we are all better for it. We're also here because of strong leadership at every level of government. The $500,000 from our state senator, Brad Hoylman. And I have to say, Micah Lasher is underselling himself just a little bit. He went in, asked the mayor to pony up $3.5 million, and they did. The partnership between Robert Rodriguez, Governor Kathy Hochul, and Micah Lasher has gotten us to this day. And from the City Council, I want to be very clear that you're going to have a partner every step of the way. Right now, we're working to get discretionary funding as well for this summer's program. You know, Ira applied for discretionary funds, about $20,000 or so for film and education. We're working hard on that right now. But of course, the build out of this amazing facility here is going to take the work of the council and yes, more work from the state to get it through. But the acquisition was the biggest obstacle to getting it done, and we're finally there. You know, my mom grew up on 105th Street between Columbus and Amsterdam. She went to PS 145 when she was in middle school, and she would always remember the days that she came to the Metro when her father, her stepdad from Puerto Rico, Papo, would bring her here. And that nostalgia lives with her to this day. But we don't have to remember anymore. We can continue to live it. Thank you, everybody. I look forward to continuing a strong partner in government. I now have the amazing honor of introducing the one and only Gale Brewer, Councilmember.
Thank you very much. It is an honor to be here. I remember one time years ago when I was at this theater, I happened to have been very supportive of the Cuban community. But as you remember, there's a lot of division in the Cuban community. I'm not making this up because I remember it distinctly. And so we were, I must admit, supportive of the Castro group. That was my thing. And the Gusanos, who were the other group, were both there. It was a Cuban movie of some kind. Somebody brought in Marlboro cigarette packs, white mice. And they let loose thousands of white mice under our feet. I don't know which group it was. Was it my group or the other group? I don't know. I don't remember the movie, but I sure don't forget those mice. So if in the construction you find any old mice, let me know. But anyway, just like everybody else, I'm here to say thank you very much. I first met Beth. I want to talk about her as a communicator. She was at the collegiate school. I have not heard from the collegiate school since she left. She is the most, Calhoun School. She was at Calhoun School, the most amazing communicator there. And I know Ira said the same, but her communication skills have really, really paid off. I know everybody deserves a lot of credit, but I want to select her as somebody who has kept us all going. She also writes very nice thank you notes, and I appreciate that. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. All I can say is as you've heard from others, we didn't know who that guy from Texas who was going to buy it, and then he disappeared. And the Symphony Space wanted it, and they disappeared. Everybody disappeared. And we thank all of you for making sure that there's no disappearance. It's going to help. Thank you very much.
All right. The marquee lights of the Metro Theater have been dark for too long. After 2 decades of false starts and dashed hopes, we finally have the property secured. But this critical moment brings both opportunity and risk. Without sufficient community support and funding for the renovation phase, we could face the heartbreaking possibility of yet another stalled project, another empty promise on Broadway. We cannot let that happen. Not after coming this far, not when we're so close to bringing this cultural treasure back to life. This is a pivotal moment for the Upper West Side. The funds we raise now, the partnerships we build today, and the community we gather around this vision will determine how the Upper West Side Cinema Center becomes the vibrant cultural center we all envision. We invite you to be part of this narrative at this most crucial moment. Your contribution now, whether financial or as a volunteer or as a community connector, directly impacts our ability to move from property ownership to grand opening. Together, we can transform the Upper West Side Cinema Center from vision to reality, creating a cultural beacon that will illuminate our neighborhood for generations to come. Join us in bringing this story to life, because the most meaningful narratives are those that we create together. And this one can't wait until tomorrow. For more information, visit our website at Upper West Side's uwscinema.org for more information.
Say it again.
uwscinema.org, thank you. Yep. And at this point, I'd like to invite all of the political friends we have, as well as Adeline, to come up here to answer any questions you have. Yeah, go ahead.
I know you're still in funding for renovation. What would that timeline be and maybe an ideal grand opening here?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be the first question. I've heard estimates. The question was, how long is this going to take? I mean, essentially. And I've heard estimates anywhere from 2.5 years to 20 years. The reality is that a lot of it's going to be about the funding. We definitely have some immediate work we have to do on the building to make sure that it doesn't fall down. Not that it's in any risk. I don't want to make it sound worse than it is, but it does need some shoring up. These stanchions here that are holding the marquee up are temporary. They were put here temporarily 20 years ago. The reality is that without them, the marquee probably would have fallen down. So we have a lot of work to do that is really about structural integrity. And then, of course, we're going to be raising the money for the rest of the build out. Yeah. The question was, are there any special approvals that the building needs? The front of the building is landmarked. And so the Landmarks Commission is already in touch with us. I don't think that they're going to be overly restrictive in the sense that they're really, really happy that caretakers are coming in to save this building. So what that means in reality is that we're going to work with them to restore this to what it looked like when it was new. Those of you who don't know this, historically, this was built in 1933. It was originally called the Midtown Theater. I don't know what they were thinking. So the Metro is not, the Metro sign is really not part of the designation. We're going to figure all that out, but we're going to try to make it look as much like it did when it first opened as possible. Any questions from the press? Sorry.
Have you thought about what you're going to screen first when it opens?
Hey, Bobby.
We've talked about...
Godfather 2.
Yeah. Godfather 2. Okay, this is going to be our final question because we really do have to wrap up. But I have a dream for what I'd like to see be our first week, which is to do an Upper West Side Film Festival. Everybody... All right, well, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here.